Yeah, but she said one thing to me that I remember was like real weird wisdom that she said to me. Like, we were just chatting briefly, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I know music." She goes, "Rock, that's a tough genre, man. That's going to be a tough genre." And I just thought like, what was that? You know, that was like, where did that come from? But it was true. You know, yeah. So it's a
because she's a watcher.
Yeah, she knows. She knows. She's a real trendsetter, yeah.
You know, she's the one who would tell stories about going and sitting down with record labels, and they would give her the menu and say, order whatever you want. She's like, I'll have a glass of water.
And they're not as like ambitious, and they're like, got to make it massive in the big world. They really appreciate, what it is to just have a group of friends and play great music together. I'm not sure if it's like a sort of, is it Generation Z? What is that generation? Like 18-year-olds?
I think we're back to A, aren't we?
Yeah, back to A again, yeah. Whatever that generation is, like, I feel like there's something going on there where they are kind of resisting a little bit of the kind of social media sort of seeking attention and being big type thing. It's like, I feel like there's something going on there. I mean, I just get this filtered through Ryder to me, but I sense there's a little bit of a shift there where kind of it could almost be like the emergence of what we saw, like a different version of what we saw in the early 90s, you know, like where, you know, the early days of grunge and stuff.
I agree. You know, Jackson, who's 16, he loves the process.
Yeah.
And every time that he'll post something, which is rare, and I worry if it doesn't hit the algorithm and find the audience.
Right.
I go into that, like, is he going to be devastated? And he's like, on to the next one.
Yeah.
On to the next one. It's like there's a certain, and I'm not saying this for every kid. I know social media still plays a huge role in heightened levels of anxiety and depression amongst, in particular, teenagers. But within the arts, it seems to have kind of plateaued and reached some kind of saturation point where it just doesn't have the power it used to.
I think so, yeah. I think there's a younger generation now that are looking to be a bit maybe out of it. You know what I mean? Like in a bit sort of like, you know, they can see through it for what it is. It's just massive attention seeking and selling products and all that kind of stuff. You know, my generation was like, you know, I'm still like, I don't really get what this is all about. I still, you know, I do it, do you know what I mean? But I still don't really like it. I don't really get it. It just feels cheesy to me. It feels embarrassing. It feels like...
Well, yeah, that's because you and I are from the same generation. I'm a couple of years older than you, but I'm sorry, mate, you're on the same boat in the same ocean. And we were brought up to some degree to crouch at the bar.
Yeah.
We were taught to let our work speak for itself.
Yeah.
And our success arrive organically.
Exactly.
Not to overstretch ourselves into
100%.
a place where you're showing off for attention.
100%. Yeah, that's it. That's like the whole 90s thing, I think, was about that, you know? And I feel like, or I hope that, I think like a younger generation is coming through is maybe resonating with that way of thinking a little bit, you know?
1991 to 1995. That was it.
That was it, yeah. That was the period.
That was the period where it could have if it had just stuck.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it rolled on a little bit after that.
Tiny.
A little bit, but that was the real core thing. It was keeping it real, no pretentiousness, like just wear what you want, be what you want, say what you want, and just kind of like, it was just people playing music together for the fun of it, really. Like, you know, then obviously Nirvana and a few other bands like absolutely blew.
Leeds, man, before we go, I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about how great Reading and Leeds is, because we've just seen a couple of bands make what I think is and I'm not one to judge, man, right or wrong. It's your career, you do what you want, but I think they got bad advice. You know, going out and playing at the VMAs instead of choosing the festival where you're going to reach a lot more people and give people a memory that they may go on and form bands out of. No one's going to do that watching you mime at the VMAs.
Yeah.
So rather than get you to weigh in on that and choose a side, I just wanted you to talk about your experience of Reading and Leeds, because I'm not sure that Maneskin and Jack Harlow truly understand how fucking great it is.
Yeah, so what happened? Did they both pull out or something? Is that what happened?
They both pulled out, and the problem is that they both pulled out and then went straight on the record and said it's because of the VMAs. And it's like, you're choosing commerce over fan, and that's fine. Sometimes you have to do that. But
so that must be the generation before Generation A that we were talking about. That's the Z, isn't it?
I think
is that the Z or something else, or the Y? That's not a good decision in my opinion. Yeah.
I agree.
Yes, I would never have done that. And I think, but then again, to sympathise with the situation, I don't know what deals they're on. You know, some of these bands are on. I just, you know, I don't know. I'll make sure my comment's not wrong here.
Yeah,
but,
me neither.
But you know, a lot of these newer bands have gone like these 360 deals where the label like owns a piece of everything. Do you know what I mean, they own a piece of your merchandise, your touring, everything. And so when they make decisions, it's like.
So ultimately, you're saying they have a controlling decision.
I don't know.
No. But it can happen that way. Is my point.
I'm saying it can happen that way. I'd be surprised if they were on a deal like that. But if they were, that might explain why whoever made that decision for them like has a lot of power. Do you know what I mean?
I just think, you know what makes me sad is, and I think it's less so for Jack Harlow because he'll run around and there's a lot of opportunities for him that exist in a more of a meta space, but Maneskin are coming from a place of real legacy. They are a brilliant rock and roll band. Yeah. I've gone on the record and said that, you know, they're kind of helping me make up for all of the the really misplaced judgment I gave to the Darkness first time.
Right. Yeah. That's a really good call, actually. Yeah.
I was not kind to the Darkness when they first came out, and
it's a good comparison.
I look back on it now and I think, can get over yourself.
Maybe they were ahead of their time.
Yeah, totally they were.
Yeah.
And so I look at Måneskin now and I'm like, I learned from that. I go, Måneskin are a great fucking rock band.
Yeah.
Måneskin need Reading and Leeds, a moment at Reading and Leeds in their legacy.
Absolutely.
And this was the year to do it.
Yeah.
And now, when they go back, that first 10 minutes could be tough.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like, is this just us, like, remembering what created these whole scenes in the early 90s? You know, because Reading back then was a completely different beast to what it is now. You know, but you might be right. You know, that mentality, me and you share that, which is like having an element of authenticity, sticking to your commitments, sticking to your fans, especially the real ones that are paying to come and see you in a show.
Yeah.
It's like that should always come above some kind of promotional activity, like playing a.
Look, go and give MTV their flowers, man. But I just know Måneskin would have run that festival. They would have been the moment of that festival. They would have had the best performance of the whole fucking weekend.
Absolutely.
And 80,000 people would have walked away going, that's my band.
Yeah.
And now you got probably 80,000 people either going, who are they, or them.
Yeah.